Okay, so emotions, we all have them, but there are ways to deal with them that are positive, and there are also ways to deal with them that are slightly negative. But research shows that people who know how to deal with the emotions well and manage them actually do better in life, have better relationships, and manage difficulties and setbacks so much better. So it's something that we all want. In this video, I'm gonna show you guys 3 ways that we sometimes manage our emotions. I am so pumped about this video, but I feel like I say that about every single video I make, so let's get into it. Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl Nay. I am so excited to see you guys here again. Super pumped for this video, and I'm so happy to be able to talk to you guys once again. You're my people. So if you're new here and you want to join the family, you can hit the subscribe button and the like button below so that more people can see this, and also so that you can know when I post more videos like this. Now we're gonna get right into it. So emotions. There are a couple different ways that I think that we can deal with our emotions, or that we do tend to deal with it. The first method I would like to call the pressure cooker method. Now, if you ever use a pressure cooker, you know that you put all the ingredients in, the water, the potatoes, the carrots, whatever you're cooking, all of that stuff in, and then you gotta close it with the lid. Now, what this lid does is seals all of the water and all of the energy inside of the pressure cooker. So when you put it on the stove, the water molecules are bouncing around on the walls, on the roof, all that stuff. It cannot get out of the pressure cooker. It's locked in there. It's completely locked in, solid. It can't escape. I grew up with my mom who used a pressure cooker, and she would always cook Jamaican rice and peas in there. And I remember sometimes we would be watching TV, me and my siblings watching TV, and we would hear this little sound in the background, like a little whistle, like an annoying small little whistle. But I remember I would hear that, and that is this little jiggler, like it's called, I don't know, it's called a jiggler. I'm gonna call it a jiggler on the pressure cooker that allows some of that energy, that high energy, to escape from the pressure cooker. Because if it just stayed in here, there have been many incidents, and especially in the early pressure cooker days, where the lid has completely just popped off and caused so many accidents and so many injuries and all of that. Because the pressure, all of that in there, it has to get out somehow. It has to get out. So what they did, instead of having the pressure cooker fall off like that, they created this little jiggler where the steam actually can seep out of the little hole here. But it creates this, like, at least to me, this like little annoying sound, very similar to our emotions. The emotions, they're all there. Sadness, happiness, anger, frustration, annoyance, all of those things are in us, and they could be bouncing around inside of our body, bouncing. And we're like, I am not going to let this out. I'm gonna cover it up. I'm gonna put a lid on it. No one's gonna see it. But it has to come out somehow. So what does it do? Either it will explode like the early inventions, the early versions of this, where the lid just completely exploded and caused so many injuries on everybody else, or it'll seep out in these little annoying spurts, these little annoying things, passive aggressiveness. Yeah, just not being forthcoming with your feelings. But they could tell. They could tell you're not happy. They could tell that something's not right. It's gonna come out. They're in us. God gave us these emotions on purpose, so they're in us. But when we do the pressure cooker way, we think all that pressure and all that energy and all that emotions, all those feelings are staying in us, but they're coming out whether we like it or not. So how do we know if this is what we're doing, if we're practicing the pressure cooker method? Here's some questions for us. Do you usually walk around, you're completely fine, you don't really cry, you don't really yell, you're just usually just kind of mellow, kind of like whatever, okay. But then something not so good happens and you explode, like literally completely go off the wall. Suppose you have a roommate. You're completely fine. You guys got along so well the past, whatever, how many months you guys just been getting along so well. And then they didn't wash the dishes. And you walk into the kitchen and you're like, you explode. What? Why did you wash these dishes? I hate coming into the house and all these dishes are here, blah, 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 blah. Just going crazy. And they're like, wait, what? It's pretty obvious to them that, okay, it's not about the dishes. It's not about the dishes. It's about something else. Does that happen? Do you explode over seemingly small things, but everything else kind of seems okay? That could mean that you're suppressing something. Or on the flip side, you can tell that you're not okay if something extremely bad happens and you just act like it's nothing. You act like, yeah, well, that's life. Things happen to me all the time. So what can you do? It's life, you know? It's fine. Does that happen? Both sides of the coin could mean that you're suppressing your emotions. Blowing up over seemingly small things or not caring over very big things. Both of those can mean that you're suppressing something inside of you. Another way you can tell you're suppressing is if something uneasy happens and something kind of like, you just start feeling a little bit, you know, not comfortable, and immediately you grab your phone, you start messaging on your phone, or you grab your computer and just like start scrolling through whatever, or you start binging a show, playing a video game, going to sleep, and you just completely shut down. Completely shut down. You don't like to be occupied by your thoughts, any of that stuff. You could be suppressing it. So why do we do this? Many times we hold on to these emotions because we just don't accept them. We don't think that they're good. We don't want to feel. It's scary to feel these things. But the thing is, when we bottle up our emotions, not only are we bottling up the bad emotions that we don't want, frustration, sadness, annoyance, anger, not only are we bottling those up, but we're also preventing ourselves from feeling the super good ones. Happiness, joy, peace, calmness, all of those good emotions, we're also preventing ourselves from feeling that too. It's a package deal. When we lock ourselves up to feeling, period, we lock ourselves up to feeling the bad, but we also lock ourselves up from feeling the good. It's a package deal. So how do we get better with this specific thing? How do we get better? All right, guys, the exercise for pressure cookering is, I want you to think about or journal, what am I afraid would happen if I express my feelings right now? What am I afraid will happen? Am I afraid that people would judge me, that they'll no longer want to be my friend, they'll think I'm weak, they'll feel sorry for me and pity me? And then the second exercise for people who tend to suppress their emotions is to go into the mirror and actually practice facial expressions. Practice what happy looks like, what sad looks like, what confused looks like, what angry looks like. Practice all of those emotions. Practice in the mirror. So there was this one episode, I don't know, I used to watch America's Next Top Model when I was younger, like the first early seasons. And I remember there was this one episode where this girl, she was like, Tyra, I just don't know how to I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to model. And Tyra said, girl, practice in the mirror. Practice those facial expressions, because what we practice in private will show up in public when we need it. But it takes practice, especially if you're not used to expressing your emotions or showing how you feel or being expressive or any of that, especially if you're used to hiding it. It takes practice behind the scenes, and it might sound silly to do. It really might, but it will help you when you actually want to show it. It's like, oh wait, sadness, that's okay. Like, I can feel sad right now, and this is what it feels like, or this is what my facial expression feels like when I'm a little bit, sad, or any of those feelings. This is what my facial expression feels like, and I'm giving myself permission in private to feel that way, so that in public, I can allow those emotions to come out a little bit more. I can accept them a little bit more. So try that. The second way that we tend to manage emotions is what I like to call the open pot method. So different to the pressure cooker method where the lid is stuck on and all of our emotions are bottled up, the open pot method actually has no cover at all. It releases all of the emotions in the ear. As soon as it feels it, it acts. Now, I like to cook, but I also need to work on my patience a little bit. So I put on a pot to boil, and then maybe I'll go and sit down and go watch a show or go occupy myself with something else. And I can completely forget that the pot was boiling. All of that water, it's boiling. It's boiling, it's boiling, it's boiling. And in science class, we learned that it becomes vapor and evaporates and completely comes out of the pot. And what happens when I go back to the pot? I am left with a big fat mess. The pot's burned, everything's burned. I have to now scour the pot, make sure it's clean again. It's just not a pretty sight. That is what happens when we do this. Our emotions come in and they're there, but we let it all out right away. We don't regulate it at all. We don't catch it. We don't stop to think, wait a minute, before we act. We receive it, throwing it back. It ends up burning people, just like I burned a pot sometimes, around us. So how do we know if we're doing this? Do you notice a sense of shock when you react in a situation? Does the room suddenly get quiet and everyone's like, do they just get completely immediately just feel like so awkward in the room now that you have just like made that sudden reaction? Or do people kind of just like get quiet after you talk? Or after we talk, I'm not just talking about you. Do people get quiet after we talk? That's how we know that we're managing our emotion like this. If we get in an argument or disagreement, we know that we are releasing our emotions willy-nilly because we're automatically thinking of what we want to say while the other person is talking. We're not practicing good listening skills. We're like, we already got something to say. We're just talking. Even sometimes we'll talk over the person so that we don't have to hear what they're saying, or we're not even trying to hear what they're saying. We're just getting all these emotions out. We're getting all these emotions out. We're not practicing good listening skills. That's how we know we're just being the open pot, not regulating, not checking ourselves. We're just doing. So what can we do about this one? So the way that we can practice not being so open or bleeding on people or burning people with our emotions is when something maybe not so good happens, take a step back. You take a step back, we take a breath, and then we act. Now that breath might be a 2-second breath, or that breath could be an hour breath, or it can be a day breath. Like it can be an extended, of course you're not gonna be breathing one whole long breath for the whole day, but the amount of space you take from it depends on how intense your emotions are or how intense the situation was. Now, something my mom tells me all the time, which I've definitely learned for myself, because I can be a very expressive person, is when I am like super upset about something, say at work or whatever the case may be, and someone sends me an email, I want to immediately type. Oh no, she didn't. Oh no, she didn't. Oh no, she did. Oh wait, I didn't send that. Oh yes, I did. I want to get back, like prove them wrong. But that's not always the best thing to do, especially if you're at work or somebody in authority to you. You don't want to be able to have to just express your emotions willy-nilly, and you might end up being fired or end up ruining a relationship or end up something very, very negative, So you don't want to do that. So what my mom tells me to do is to write the email, get it out, but don't send it. Don't send it yet. Don't send it yet. Wait an hour, 2 hours, whatever it might take, then go back and read that email. I can't tell you the amount of times that has saved me. Me taking a step back, not sending that email, but taking a step back and then coming back and reading it and realizing, I gotta change this around. I'm not as angry. I'm not acting in my emotions anymore. I'm actually acting with a rational mind now and not over exploding or overreacting to a certain situation. Because whether we want to believe it or not, the way that we handle our emotions has an effect on other people. So how do we then deal with our emotions a little bit healthier then? What is the method? I'm glad you asked. I would like to call that method the steamer method. You may have one of these. I got one of these when I moved into my apartment. But the way that this works is that we have the pot, which has all the water in it, but instead of putting the lid on and keeping all of the emotions and all the energy locked inside, and then instead of keeping the lid off, where all of it just goes out willy-nilly and we're not taking care of it, put the steamer on. And the way that this works is that this little top part of the steamer has these little holes in it. And these holes allow for the water, the energy, the emotions, all that stuff to come out, but to come out in manageable portions. So your emotions aren't all coming out at once, and it's also not being locked inside. The holes allow for the steam and the vapor to come out naturally. And that is what happens when we regulate our emotions. We put a filter on it. I'm not locking them in. I'm not pretending they don't exist. I'm not pretending that they aren't there, but I'm just putting a filter on it. I'm putting something on so that now my emotions will still come out. They have space to come out. They have space to come out, not in an annoying sound like the little jiggler on the pressure cooker, but I'm actually putting purposeful things in my life in place to be able to allow these emotions to come out. Maybe I am going out and I'm exercising to get these emotions out of my body. Maybe I'm journaling to get these emotions out. Maybe what it takes is I am feeling this intense emotion in this space. I need to go and I need to take a walk. I need to get out of this environment and go do something else. Have you ever walked into a place and as soon as you walked in, you're like, oh snap, is everything okay in here? You feel the tension, you literally feel it. Like, someone's either arguing in the space or whatever. Like you see these two people, you don't hear what they were saying before you walked in, but you just know, oh snap, they were arguing or there was some type of tension in here. That energy lives in the space. It lives in there. And sometimes it takes us getting up and saying, I am going for a walk, or I need to escape from this energy, escape from this room right now so I can have a clear mind and think about it, and I can come back and think about it rationally. Maybe it takes that. Or maybe the filter for you is working on your self-acceptance, realizing that our emotions are good things. Every single part of us is purposeful and is a good thing. I know that sometimes for me, it can be hard to want to feel these bad feelings because you want to be happy all the time. You want to make everybody happy. You just want to constantly be in this up mood and please everyone. But doing that would only cause these emotions to be locked up and is not healthy. They're going to come out somehow. The reason for these types of videos is that we can become more aware of our response, and we can learn maybe what we tend to do a little bit more and then bring it back so we can become a little bit healthier. I really want to talk and dive into our emotions a lot more, how to label our emotions, how to deal with the emotions of other people, all these things. I want to dive into them more because in order to love ourselves more, we have to learn how to accept every single part of us, including the emotions that aren't just gonna go away. They're in there, and we have to learn how to deal with them in a healthy way. So I hope that helped you. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to hit the subscribe button. It means the world to me. And also like and comment on this video. Let me know what your thoughts are, which one you tend to gravitate towards more, and maybe you have some tips that I didn't mention on how to regulate your emotions healthier. I hope I explained that well, and I hope you got something from that. But yeah, have an amazing day, guys. Until the next one, guys. Mwah! I love you so much. Bye.